Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Myself Dr. Sumeet Patil. I make videos upon English literature, its history, its background, its social, political, economical and religious background. So far I have made videos upon history of English literature, father of English literature, periods of English literature, and I have made two series of English literature wherein I have made especially upon genres of English literature, wherein I have made upon poetry, fiction, non-fiction, and then I have also made upon the next series was based upon history of English literature, wherein the first video was upon Anglo-Saxon period. Thereafter, I made upon Anglo-Norman period, and the third video was upon Middle Ages, and after that I made upon Age of Chaucer, which was the recent video I have uploaded. And today I am going to talk about a new topic, or the topic which comes subsequently after the Age of Chaucer, which is called as the Age of Revival. Okay, so now what is Age of Revival, or what is the meaning of revival, or what is this period? This period exactly comes after the period of Chaucer, that is 1300 to 1400, and beginning of 1400 we can see the Age of Revival. It is also called as the Renaissance. Okay, now what is Renaissance, or why it is called as rebirth? So when was the original birth? So now basically the Age of Revival, it starts roughly around 14th century, that is 1400, till it lasts till 17th century. But in the Renaissance period, what are the great changes that people have witnessed or people have seen? The great changes that people have seen, that is, they have started relearning Roman and Latin texts, which were not which were not in fashion, or which were not, people were not inclined towards Roman and Latin texts. Why? The basic reason is, in 410 AD, Romans were, the Roman left Britain, and their kingdom, or they left their their image was collapsed, or the Roman tradition was collapsed in 410 AD. And thereafter you all have seen, if you all have seen my videos, Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Norman, Middle English period and Age of Chaucer. So you would have witnessed that what has happened in these videos, or in these ages. If you haven't watched, do watch those videos. You will get a idea what has happened. So coming to the Renaissance, what has happened in this Renaissance is, people started to relearn the Roman and Greek texts, Roman and Greek literature. Why? Because before this era, or before this period, there was a period which caused a great loss to not only Europe but also especially to England. Because in the Middle Ages, what has happened is, there was, first and the foremost is, there were so many wars. Second is bubonic plagues. This has caused this because of this, the economy, the political situation of England has declined. But this period, that is 14th century, here England reaches its its period, and the next period which comes exactly after Renaissance, it is called as the Golden Age or Golden Period, wherein I would be making a video. After this video I would be making on that period, that is Age of Golden Period in the English literature. Coming to once again this point, that is the point, what has happened in Renaissance. First and the foremost is, they started relearning the Roman and Latin text. Thereafter, what has happened in 1400 AD? People again they moved back towards this literature, and as you all have seen in the Middle Ages, that people were sent by the kings and queens and popes to spread the Christianity. Here also people started to spread Christianity, but the next important thing, or next important characteristic of this age is, people started exploring the world. They first and the foremost thing that has happened is the discovery of America. That this is the greatest discovery which has happened in this era, 1496, roughly around 1492. It was this time when Christopher Columbus, he was about to come to India, that is the Indies. At that time it is called as Indies, but he fortunately went to the western part of the globe, and fortunately he found the newfound land. Earlier America was called as the newfound land, and thus these discoveries, which Europeans, they started exploring the world, and so on. What has happened is Spanish, Portuguese, French people started to explore new world, and they started their exploring through navy or through sea route. And the next point, what has happened is here in England, especially, what has happened is there is a different faith which is coming out, or which is evolving, which is Protestant faith. Now, why this faith has evolved? Because of, we can say, people were so much under the influence of kings and their taxes, and thus people started to revolt against the kings and queens. So Martin Luther, he is called as one of the foremost figures in establishing the Protestant faith, and he has also written his 95 theses, wherein he has portrayed, he has depicted what are the things that should be done by the people to overcome the rule of kings and queens. Now, what has happened due to this is this period, I'm talking about 14th century, roughly for 1400, and after that till 15th century, before 1558, that is the golden period. Now here, because people have witnessed 100 years war, War of the Roses, you all have seen in the previous video that it was the war between House of Lancaster and House of York, because they wanted the throne of France. Okay, and due to these wars, bubonic plagues, and everything which caused destruction, especially in England, people were so much in trouble, and so, as I was talking about the War of the Roses, which occurred due to two houses of Plantagenet, which were House of York and House of Lancaster. They both represented white and red rose. So these two houses, why they fought? They fought for the throne. And which kind of throne? Not only England, but they also needed the throne of France. Okay, now why they needed throne of France? You might have witnessed in the Anglo-Norman period that William the Conqueror, he came or he defeated Harold Godwinson in 1066 during the Battle of Hastings, and because of this, French people, they came to the power and in England, and they ruled over 250 years or so. Okay, now coming to the next point, what has happened is Henry the 8th, he has married he has married 6 times. Why he has married 6 times? Because he needed a heir. Okay, now what is heir? He needed a boy, or he needed a child who will rule the kingdom after he comes from the throne. But unfortunately, he had only girl as a child, and later on, fortunately, he sets his child, that is to the throne. So this was the political and social background. Now coming to the literary background, what has happened in the literary background? The first and the foremost thing during this Renaissance period which has happened is the we can say the invention of the printing press. Now, what is the invention of printing press? What has happened in the during the invention of printing press? Earlier to the invention of printing press, the books which were written, they were only in the manuscripts, means original texts were only written, and they had only one texts with the library, which was as you all know, you all have witnessed in the Anglo-Norman and Middle Ages that there were 2 universities which was established, which is Oxford and Cambridge. Now, these books which were written during this period, they were only manuscripts, and they were kept in the libraries. But due to the invention of printing press, which has happened in Italy by the great inventor, that is Johannes Gutenberg, he established, or he set up the printing press in Italy. Then William Caxton in England, he set up the printing press in England, and the books which were written in England was printed henceforth by William Caxton. And the first and the foremost book which was printed by William Caxton was the Dictes and the Sayings of the Philosophers. This was the first book which William Caxton printed. He set up his printing press around 1476. This was the major transformation or revolution in the era of Renaissance. And talking about Renaissance in detail, in Renaissance period, people started to learn in detail about music, painting, architecture, literature, and especially in this era of Renaissance, people started to work upon, or they started to learn painting more. You might have came across the famous painting of Mona Lisa, which was painted by Leonardo da Vinci, and so many people around Europe were influenced by this great personality, that is Leonardo da Vinci. As well as during this period in literature, what has happened is there was a poetical, or there was a form in poem which was invented in Italy by Giacomo di Lentini, and as well as Francesco Petrarch, his disciple, or he came across Giacomo di Lentini. He started to write down sonnet, and this was a poem, or this form wherein 14-line poem is written. This poem was again we can say taken from Italy to England by two great people, that is Sir Thomas Watt and Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey. These are the two people who brought sonnet form, that is Petrarchan sonnet form, to English sonnet form, and they transformed the whole writing style of poem. Coming to the next point, in the era of, we can say this, when King Henry VIII was ruling, what he did, he changed the Christian belief into the Anglican Church. Now, Anglican Church was a kind of a faith wherein people believed in Christianity, and they also followed kings and queens. And in the Protestant faith, what has happened is people followed a different faith wherein people believed that man is the soul and man is the supreme, and they believed that the kings and queens should not impose taxes as they were using, or as they were imposing since ages. This was the kind of thing which has influenced to the Protestant faith. And Martin Luther, as I have just now mentioned, that he wrote his thesis to confront the things which were happening due to the rule of kings and queens. Coming to the next point, I will just highlight 2 or 3 great authors of this period. I have highlighted 2, that is Francesco Petrarch, who invented or who started writing down sonnet because of Giacomo di Lentini, in the Roman Emperor of Sicily in Italy, and Sir Thomas Watt and Henry Howard, Earl of Surrey. Then coming to the next point, Thomas Malory. He wrote based upon Arthurian legends, that is King Arthur and his legends, and he wrote upon the king, that is King Arthur, and what are the great things, what are the great deeds, what he did, in his book entitled as Le Morte d'Arthur. This was the book. Then coming to the next author is Christine de Pizan. She is also called as one of the foremost women who started writing as a career. Then the next women writer is Marguerite Kemp, who had 14 children. Okay, in spite of having 14 children, she also wrote her autobiographical book, wherein the title is A Book of Marguerite Kemp has been published, and people are right now learning those books. Then after that, people started to write down based upon these people, that is Roman and Latin texts, and now in this era, major thing that was written is, we can say, poems, then literature. If we talk about literature, poems were written, and then later on people moved their interest into painting, architecture also. That is why you all have seen that Roman architecture, the Gothic art, is also very famous. So this was the whole scenario of the age of revival, or the Renaissance, which occurred during the 14th century till 15th and late 16th century. I hope you all have understood what I was trying to explain to you in this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos and updates, and press the notification bell icon to get the updates of my videos. Thank you so much.